So I have been in my house all day today working. You probably, maybe some of you all can relate. And I was in my bedroom upstairs because that's where my office is. And I looked out of my window and I was like, oh man, I've got to get outside. It is a glorious fall day. It has that little chill in the air. So I have a little sweater and some thick socks on. I'm a thick sock girl and it's just really lovely. So I decided that I was going to come out here and record this video today because it's gorgeous, you guys. Like, it is gorgeous, and I'm hoping to do so before the sun starts setting. So if the sound isn't great or if the image is not as clear, I apologize, but I had to get outside and take advantage of this beautiful, beautiful fall day. We haven't had a lot of these yet, and I'm really hoping that we actually get to have a fall season before winter just comes upon us, because you all know winter is coming. Okay, so today's video is about a topic that I have been thinking about for a while now, really ever since I started my YouTube channel and just got into, being more involved with the book community, not just here, but also on TikTok, but I'm more involved on the book community here. And I struggled with whether or not I wanted to add to this conversation. Primarily because I felt like this is a silly conversation. No shade to people who don't feel like it's a silly conversation, but that was my first kind of the way I felt about it when I first heard the question, or saw the question really, is reading political? And I felt like this is such a silly question. Does it deserve a response? But it is a popular question, and it is a question that I do realize a lot of people are talking about or thinking about. And so I definitely want to honor that question and share just some of my insight as to whether or not I feel reading is political. Also, whether or not reading should be political, because I think that's part of that question. It's kind of like a question that has a lot of stuff in it. It's a tangled question. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And again, I'm going to talk about it on this lovely fall day. So, where to begin? I don't have my thoughts all written down, so you're just kind of going to get some free flow, but I have been thinking about this for a minute, and I do, so I want to just be able to flow, with you guys in this way, if I can. I'm going to start with, as an African-American woman, I think that reading is political. And I've always thought that reading is political. And I feel this way because human beings, we are definitely live under, no matter where we live, no matter even what gender or what race, we are governed by politics. The very neighborhood you live in, the work that you are able to do, the school that you attended or your kids attend, when your trash is picked up and how often, if you have recycling offered to you or not, all of these things actually relate to politics. And whether or not we move about our lives and we're focused on that is different from the actual fact that our lives are governed by politics. And again, as an African American in this country, I think it hits maybe a little bit closer, or is more intimate to me, maybe more personal, because reading and writing were denied my ancestors. Actually, in 1740 in South Carolina, the Negro Act was passed, which denied slaves the ability to have access or to learn to read and write. And then after Nat Turner's rebellion, laws just got tougher. They tightened up those laws because they felt that reading led to thinking, led to communication, slaves being able to communicate in different ways, which could also lead to organization. And so all of those things were a threat. And so laws were tougher at that time because of that. And so you had reading and writing literacy denied, education denied my ancestors. And then when emancipation came in 1865, within a very short period of time, freed slaves opened up over 4,000 schools, you guys. 4,000 schools by, I think, 1870. And that just shows you how important education was, especially to a people who were denied education for so long. And then you fast forward to Brown versus the Board of Education. And even though schools were segregated, it definitely did not mean that education was equal between the races. It surely was not. And that still is the case. And so what that does, provide or promote or birth really is a literacy gap, especially between whites and Black and brown people. And so even from just that lens, reading is political. And even today, like right now, with the ever-growing list of banned books, we see that there are some authors and some characters and some stories that are deemed appropriate and worthy and right, and that they're for audiences, especially for young audiences. And then there are some that are not. And so politics is just all over that, right? It's all over that. And so I think the question, when I think about this question, I still think, gosh, that's a silly question. Is reading political? It definitely is political. And maybe that's not the question that people are really asking, because the very facts of the cost of paper, the ability, like who gets published, where they get published, right? Also, when you're in a bookstore, I used to work for Barnes and Nobles many, many years ago, and we call it the real estate. So when you're in a bookstore and you have the tables and the ones that are right up front and they have the nice stacked books, there are only certain books that can go on that table. Not every book can go on that table. Not every author can go on that table. And so literally where books are placed in stores is all thought out, and it's all related to politics. And so you cannot escape, I think, how politics, how it dictates the life of stories and the life of books. So when I was grappling with this question, I was like, maybe that's not the question that people are really wanting to know. Maybe there's a different question, and a more nuanced question. And so maybe the question isn't so much, is reading political? Because again, the very act of reading, the fact that I have a house, and in my house, probably like your houses that are watching, I have books, tons of books on bookshelves in my house, and I actually have time where I can read books. That privilege of being able to own books and the privilege of being able to have the luxury to read books in and of itself is related to politics. It's all political. Not everybody can do that. And because that's a privilege, and privilege is related to politics. So I think you get what I'm saying. So again, maybe there's a different question. So if there's a different question, Chantel, what is the question? And I think the question really is related to purpose, right? What is the purpose of one reading? And maybe it is, should the purpose of reading a book only be for political, purposes? Can a person just pick up a book and just read it for the hell of it, for the fun of it, right? For just pure entertainment? And my answer to that is yes, right? Just like I can walk and chew gum at the same time and do both of those seamlessly because of my coordination skills, y'all. A book also is more than one thing. And the act of reading is also more than one thing. So yes, while I am reading a book that is pleasure-based, I think the sun, like the clouds, oh yeah, there's like a dark cloud. Did you all see that? It's like wow, it's like okay, there's a little bit of light. It's like really interesting. Okay, so while I can read a book for pleasure, I can also understand the politics around the book. I can also understand and hold in my mind and my heart the very politics around me that's enabling me to read the book, and in the politics that are actually within the book. Because guess what? Just like our lives are governed by politics, art imitates life, so I believe. And that means the world that you're reading, it doesn't matter if it's a rom-com or a sci-fi or a fantasy or a literary fiction. Your characters' lives are also governed by the politics that exist within that world and within that book. So I think that two things can be true at one time. So sometimes, you guys, I grab books for the purpose that I want a political thriller. And that's what I really want to talk about more in this video, is like the purpose of reading. And so an example of a book that I love, if y'all haven't read it, it's a Game of Thrones. This is not the first one. This is a Dance of Dragon. But Game of Thrones is a series written by George R.R.Marti. He has not finished the series. I'm still waiting on the I don't know if it's coming. Anywho, it's excellent. But this, I grabbed it because it is a political suspenseful thriller. It's all about politics, you all. It is like a political chess game going on. You have kings and queens and courts, lords and ladies, and you have the haves and the have-nots, and you have, you know, the have-nots protesting against the haves. And you also have like dragons and, you know, weird creatures and magic and some dwarves and a whole bunch of other things going on in this book. And it's really great, but it's entertaining and it is a political thriller. So I went to this book because I wanted to be entertained. I wanted to be captivated, and I wanted to go into a world and a story that was very different from my own, but yet could actually, it does teach me about my own. And so this is a book that is right there, kind of like touching and pointing at politics. Another book like this that is very different, both in size and in scope, is Animal Farm. Animal Farm, written by George Orwell, is a wonderful, look how small that book is, y'all. Is it a short story? Is it like, what are we going to call it? I don't know. It is a satire of the Russian Revolution. And so this book is spot dead on. We are talking about politics in this book. And because it is written in this wonderful satirical package, one can enter into it and be entertained, or, you know, just think it's a cute little fable kind of thing going on. But it is so political in nature. And so that's the essence of what it is about. It's about a coup and an uprising. Like today, I mean, yeah, this one stresses me out now because of my current situation in America. So this is, you know, when I'm reading this book, don't let the pig fool you, or the boar, I should say, on the cover. This is a political book, and the intent, the writer's intent was to communicate, was to say something about the politics around the Russian Revolution. But that doesn't mean that when I'm reading this, I'm also not enjoying it, right? So let's see. Read, you guys. Just read. Read, read, read. You're not ever probably going to pick up a book and say, I'm going to read this fiction story for the purposes of politics. I mean, I don't do that. I don't really know somebody who does that. But it doesn't mean that it's not political. It doesn't mean that you're not doing a political act by doing it. Just keep that in mind. So a whole different kind of genre. Now we're stepping into romanticism. So I read Frankenstein again. I think it was earlier this year. I don't remember. But I read it with my girls, and for those of you all who don't, everyone probably knows the story of Frankenstein, or they think they know the story of Frankenstein, because there's so many different variations. But it's a great novel, and it is filled with political things, I mean, that govern the characters' lives, that deal with, you know, who is worthy, who is not worthy, who should have the ability to create and be, and what kind of responsibilities does one have or should have towards their creation. So this is a really good read. I really enjoy Frankenstein. I'm a fan. It's a great read for Halloween time, or, you know, the fall. So if you haven't read Frankenstein, or if it's been in a while, read it. Here's, oh gosh, one of my favorite classics. This is Great Expectations. You have heard me talk about Great Expectations. I think I have done a video on Great Expectations. If I have, I will leave it in the show notes below. But this is one of my all-time favorite books. Sorry, my dog is like freaking out here because he's sitting outside with me. I might have to pick him up. But this is one of my favorite all-time books, and I'm a huge fan of Charles Dickens. Anyone who knows me knows I love Charles Dickens, and all of Charles Dickens' books, all of them, are dealing with the politics of his day. And yes, they are entertaining and they are informative, but they are dealing with the politics of his day. And if you have not read Great Expectations, the story of Pip, it is a coming of age story. Even though the story is, I think like people read it in, is it middle school or high school? I don't know. This is a great read as an adult. Do not sleep on Great Expectations. It's so good. The characters are so vivid. I'm going to stop talking about it because this video will be too long and I don't want it to be. And I have more books to share with you. So another realm of fiction that is near and dear to my heart, and I have not talked about it a lot on this channel yet, plays. I'm a big play person because I'm a thespian, you guys. And so one of my favorite plays is Shakespeare's Othello. And don't you just love this cover? Like, look at that. Yeah, yeah. And obviously this one is dealing with the politics of the time that this play was set in. And you have lots of things going on inside this play where you have two people who, well, the parents were kind of happy that they got together, but you have a character who, you know, who wants to climb and who is jealous and who wants power, that wrong ambition, like Macbeth, that wrong ambition, and causes a whole bunch of havoc. Iago is his name. And this is really great. And also just the format of a play too, I think itself is a little bit like the way in which performances plays, especially Shakespeare, because his plays were written about the people, but written for the court, was also political in nature. So check out Othello if you have not read that. Another play that I love is A Doll's House by Ibsen. And yeah, ladies, read this play. Read this play. Actually, read it with your man and talk about it. This one is really about just the politics that govern women, especially back in this day. But there's a lot of things that are relevant. And I think that this one was a game changer. It is said to be, at the end of it, the door slam that was heard all around the world. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they say about this play. And I really loved it. But I didn't pick it up because I was like, oh, let me read about the politics of the lives of women. I really was introduced to this play because I was performing it. So that's why I was introduced to it. But I'm able to see the politics that definitely do, you know, structure the lives of the characters in here. Okay, moving on, I want to talk about another author that I'm a fan of, Jamaica Kincaid. This is called The Autobiography of My Mother. It is actually not an autobiography. It is a work of fiction, and it is about a woman who was not raised with her mother, and in sense, because she did not know her mother, it's hard for her to know herself, and she's on this journey of discovering who she is by trying to connect to her mother. Really powerful book, as you all can see. I have lots of notes and things with this book, and I am a fan of Jamaica Kincaid. She's not everyone's cup of tea. She's not my sister's cup of tea, but she's my cup of tea. So if you haven't checked out Jamaica Kincaid, give her, you know, check her out and see if she's your cup of tea too. But this is a story that really taught me a lot about loss and a lot about longing and a lot about identity, especially as a female and with someone that doesn't know or isn't connected to their mother and how that impacted them. Read. Here's the whole thing. Read. I think that that's the thing that I want to stress today is that reading is political. Your ability to read is tied to the politics that govern your specific life. It is a privilege to be able to afford to read, to have the time to read, and also just the industry itself, who gets to be out there on those tables and marketed so that people are like, oh yes, I want to read that story. Not every book gets that. This one, though, got a lot of attention. I think The Mountain Sings by Nguyen Phan, hopefully I pronounced her name right. This book is about the Vietnam War. I really enjoyed it. I did do a video on this one, so I definitely will link it in the show notes below because it gave me a different perspective of the Vietnam War. And so I really have studied the Vietnam War from an American perspective, and I know what I know, but I did not know, for example, how involved the French were. And so I learned a lot about this, but it really was focuses on a particular family. So you get a zoomed up, yes, reality or look into a particular family and their struggles throughout years with the Vietnam War and the consequences that happened to them because of that and the ways in which it impacted them. So read. Okay. Next one, Butter, by Asako Yuzuki. And this book, oh gosh, there's so much to say really about this one and the characters that live inside these pages. And I really learned a lot about women and women's bodies, especially in Japan. And also the prison system and also food. I don't want to give away too much about this one. I do have a book notes thing that I did. I shouldn't say a thing, y'all. Sorry. Just like, oh, my word slipped me. A podcast, an episode that I did. So I will leave that in the show notes below. But definitely the world in which Butter is situated in is truly, truly impacted by all of these things that are tied to what? Politics, and the politics and what people can do, what they can do, what women can do and what they should do, what they should look like and what they shouldn't. And so this was really fascinating read to me, and I enjoyed it. So if you have not checked out Butter, do so. I'm looking forward to her upcoming book, which is coming out, I think, next year. And I'm definitely going to give that one a read as well. So read. Okay. Next one, because I don't want you all to think that all the things, oh, of course, Chantel, they're related to like these series issues. And of course, they're like political in nature. Okay, I get you that, some of those books were, but not every book, because every book, right? Every book, no matter the genre that you choose, no matter what it is, has something to say about politics, because it has something to say about people, even if they're not like real people, they could be robots or whatever. But the what governs them, right? The rules of the day, what they're under, what they're being oppressed by, what they're being, I don't know, measured by, right? Every story has that. Another series that I really like is the Thursday Murder Club. Is it a series? I've read a couple of them by Richard Osman. And I picked this one up because I can walk and chew gum at the same time, purely for the fun. So my mother is living her best life in a retirement community. And I thought, it would be fun to read a novel that was set in a retirement community and kind of imagine what could be possible for my mom while she's living in her community. And I just have out loud laugh moments. I have tender moments. I'm a huge fan of this book and of Richard's work. If you haven't checked it out, and if you want a fun read that just gives you a different glimpse into a different type of character, our elders, this is a fun one to read. It's a quick, fast page turner. It's a great vacation book. That's kind of when I really like to read Richard's books. It's a great vacation book, as it's just a fun read. So, but as far as like the political landscape, we learn a lot about elder care and also like their thinking, their emotions, what their realities. It gives a glimpse into that. And so I found it also to be really informative in that way, or gave me different things to think about and different questions to ask my mom too as well. So Thursday Murder Club. All right, you guys, I'm coming down to the end of my kind of book share here. But I don't, again, want you all to think it's just all serious books. This one is A Love Song for Rikki Wilde by Tia Williams. So I read this not too long ago. I feel like, doesn't the cover scream February to you? It just does to me, but can you see it? It's a nice cover. This is my first Tia Williams book, and it is one of my first romance books. Your girl is not a romance reader. I'm stepping into that genre though. Thank you. Recommendations for romances, you can put them in the comments below, because I've read all the romance stories that I bought earlier this year. I bought 4 of them. They are all done. So yeah, I need some more recommendations, but I really did enjoy all of the ones that I read, and they were pleasurable. I enjoyed them. I just didn't have a lot of expectations when I started reading them, but I learned, a lot about the genre, and I will definitely keep reading romance because I enjoyed it. But again, these characters are governed by the politics of their lives. So even you have in this situation, what you have is you have 2 people. I don't really know enough about the romance things to be like, is it friends to enemies? I hear all this stuff. So they're not friends to enemies. They're like 2 people, like 2 strangers across time. I can say that without giving a lot away, that come together yeah, like I'm gonna leave it right there. There's a lot that goes on in this book. It's set in New York in the present time and also back in the 1920s. So it goes back and forth, and it's a really nice romance. It was very fun and I enjoyed it. I think I did a video about this one as well. I will leave it in the show notes below for you to check out if you are looking for a fun romantic read that is different, because I think this is different, although I'm not like, that's not my genre, so I can't really know for sure, but I thought it was a good read. I enjoyed reading it, and I will read more of Tia Williams books. I think I read that one when I was on vacation. Also, I want to say that it's not just limited to adult fiction, that it's also in YA and in children's stories too. And one of my favorite YA books is Wonder. This one came out a while ago. There's even a TV show with my girl, Julia Roberts, because I do like her. And this one is a book about a child who has many different health issues and is deformed. And it's his becoming, of age story. And this gets into lots of things. The politics in school for kids, my goodness, there's so much there of wanting to fit in, of identity and bullying. And again, this kind of being on the inside and being on the outside. There's a lot here. And also just what families have to negotiate as well. This is a wonderful book. It is a tear jerker. Have your box of tissues with you. I read this one with my girls, and we really, really liked it. Every chapter has these little sayings, and I just loved the sayings that are inside. It doesn't start out the chapters, but they have these little sayings within the chapters, these little life lessons, and I really just enjoyed. I was trying to find one, but I really enjoyed reading this book, and that's one of the things that I remembered about it. So it is not just limited to adult books, children too. Yes. And lastly, I think the last thing I'm going to talk about is poetry, because that is a genre I don't read enough of. I don't know why I don't read. I love poetry. I just don't read enough of it. But I have this vintage book of contemporary American poetry here that has a lot of poets that I love to read. And I think that poetry is just another form that's able to talk about life from the literal to the imaginative in ways that just it displays it differently because of its form. And I think it hits us differently as well because of its form. And so this is another way of like having politics within literature. And so I just want to say all of that and to share some books with you guys. Maybe you've read some of these. If you have, let me know in the comments. Maybe you have not and you are curious and your interest is piqued. I hope I did that. To read. Here's the deal. We don't need to have a conversation about, is reading political? We don't need to have a conversation about, should I read for politics, or is it okay to just read for pleasure? We don't have to have that conversation. Reading is the type of reading that we're talking about on this channel and on other channels out here is reading for pleasure. All the books that I talk to you about, I've read them for pleasure. And I'm sure the books that other book talk and booktube people, or people that you're just your friends, they're talking to you about books that you're reading for pleasure. So pleasure is the gateway in. Yes, your entertainment, your pleasure, your joy, your escapism. That's why you're going and getting said book. But it doesn't mean that it's not political or there are not aspects of politics that are there that can expand you. And it surely doesn't mean that your ability to actually read the books, to have time to go to the library or the bookstore, to have the resources to get the books, and to have the time to sit in a cafe or a couch or in your bed or whatever and actually read or listen to the stories is also not political, because it all is. And I think that when you shift and you see that and you understand that, you also understand your agency within the book world as a contributor and as a consumer of books. You see your agency very clearly, and I hope that it encourages you to be mindful of it and to be respectful of your agency and to use it in ways that really benefit the book community. And with that, I say, I challenge you, just like I'm challenging myself this year, to use my agency to support authors that are not maybe getting support, that are not on the bestsellers list, that are not the ones that everyone's talking about. I also am trying to, if you've been with me in the past, you know that I have been intentional this year about expanding my bookcase, adding more diversity. I realized that I read a certain type of book predominantly for me, that was classics. And I really wanted to read, to challenge myself to expand not only the genres of who I'm reading, but also to expand the types of authors that I'm reading and the types of stories. And so that is me using my agency for good, I believe so. And the other way, the last way, is where I'm purchasing my books. I used to really heavily rely on purchasing my books from Amazon or Barnes & Noble because, just quite honestly, it was convenient, you guys. Pretty much it worked for me. They got my books here fast, and that's what I was about. And so again, just thinking about my agency and being mindful about the politics of books, I really am trying to be much more intentional of supporting indie bookstores and supporting online stores that support indie bookstores, and also supporting authors who are self-published. And you will see I did 2 author talks where I was able to sit down and have a conversation with 2 authors who are self-published authors and doing their thing, Sunny Hudson and Camille Harwood. And so I will link those conversations in the show notes below as well. And I think it's great if you are an aspiring writer, or if you are a writer and you are published, or looking to publish yourself. Those 2 conversations you'll want to check out, because both authors are so generous in providing tips and helpful hacks and things that they just learned along the way on their publishing journey. And both of them have published multiple books, more than one. So please check those videos out, not just to learn about the books, but again, if you are a writer, just to help your craft and your journey, because that's what I want to do here. And that's how I get to use my agency. And I can't use my agency if I'm not aware that reading, yes, is political. Oh, that was a lot. I didn't intend for it to be this long. I'm glad that the clouds just, allowed me to have some time out here with you all today. Please, you guys, read, and be mindful when you sit down to read that you're actually doing something that maybe somebody else can't do. And that's a privilege. And enjoy what you're reading. And also allow the books that you're reading to expand you, as they are entertaining you, to expand your world. And lastly, I would say find people to have conversation with, because that's the whole thing. That's when you really get to kind of go deep in books, when you get to have conversations. And I love having conversations about books. And because I love it so much, I have a series, Books with Friends. I will leave some videos below. I'm leaving a lot for you guys today. I'm feeling very generous. I'm leaving a lot, but I will link one of my last episodes with Books with Friends about a novel that I think might be one of my it might be number 1 this year. I don't know. We still have time to go, and I still have books to read, but it's up there. And that's A Gentleman in Moscow with my friend Lucilla. So I will leave that conversation below to encourage you guys to grab a friend, grab a book, and have your own conversation, while being very mindful that the very act of you doing that is all political. That's all I have for now, you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me for 38 minutes, I think, or somewhere along those lines. It's been a joy to be with you all today, and I will see you soon. Until then, you know what to do, you guys. As always, stay reading. Bye.